So friends, whenever you see one of these coin canisters, drop in all your change, won't you?
WABD, Channel 5, New York.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to my apartment. This is Art Ford. These are the folks I invited in. Some of them just came in because they felt like having a good time, and I want you to feel the same way. Very informal, no rules, no nothing. We just have a good time on Friday night. Channel 5 brings in the TV cameras, and we don't mind because the boys all have a drink and join in the fun. So, come on, let's go over to the piano and see what Cy Coleman is up to over there. There's a very pretty girl over there I want you to meet. Beautiful is the word. You know, they say I do this too often, but in your case, I just have to do it.
Oh, well, thank you.
Monique Van Voren, who makes the Make-Believe Ballroom a little bit more glamorous because she has a new record album out called Mink in Hi-Fi. We don't need the mink, but we have the hi-fi in the appearance. Cy Coleman, our regular Friday night visitor, of course, is over there at the piano. Cy, from the position of Monique and the position that you're in, I think something could happen right here. Musical, that is.
Oh. Well, I'd like to begin with a song written by Evelyn Cooper. You know, through publicity, people believe all kinds of things about people. For instance, about me, well, you might believe all kinds of stories. Don't believe it, because what I really like are the very simple things of life. I want to meet a tall and handsome man with an open shirt and a Florida tan who will sweep me off my feet with that look in his eye. One will introduce me to a rich old guy. I want to take a walk through Central Park and sit down a while where it's quiet and dark and let my heart go boom. Make sure to get back to the gentleman who drives a Cadillac. I want a love that's real sincere, one that I can depend on as long as I have always someone near I can make an emergency call to. I want to read romantic poetry that a bright young man has just written for me, while waiting for the one who is not so complex, one who can't write anything for me. But check, 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 I want a sweet and very wholesome boy who makes good night kissing a positive joy, a football player type who is still in his prime, one who'll take me out where I can make some time. I want to spend those rainy afternoons with a boy who knows all the old Gershwin tunes, but be sure to get back for a dinner at 8 to a very influential potentate. I want a love that's real sincere, one I can give my all to, as long as I have diamonds here and here, someone spend an enormous amount on. Oh, I hate to have to choose between the two, but if that should happen, I know what I do. It's a difficult choice, huh? I settle for the diamonds and the satin and lace, but I keep the young man's address just in a case.
Any bachelor who has Monique at his party is very lucky indeed. Monique Van Born. I'm sitting here next to a very wonderful young lady who's always been one of my favorites, Nancy Walker, who is by way of being one of the funniest ladies on the American stage or TV screen when she wants to be. And she proved it, of course, in Fallen Angels, the old Coward show, and On the Town. She made what I think was musical comedy history, best foot forward. Whenever she's given the chance, she steals everything in sight. The scenery...
Watch out.
Yeah, I will. Who's that very distinguished-looking gentleman behind you?
That's Mr. Hartman.
Is that
Mr.
Don Hartman? Don, how are you?
How are you, Arnold?
Welcome to the party.
Thank you very much.
Don, of course, is... I'm not really very fond of him tonight because he's the boss of a girl I'd like to meet, and I don't think I'll ever meet him through him. Sophia Loren is working for him these days in a picture called Desire Under the Elms, because he's one of the men who's made Paramount Pictures as exciting as it's always been. You were head of Paramount for about 6 years, weren't you, Don?
I can answer the first if
Yeah,
you want me
about
to.
Sophia?
She's waiting for you outside.
Oh, she is? Well, I'm going to go right downstairs now. Let me out right this minute. But I don't believe that, Don. But I do believe, though, that you've got some wonderful excitement in store for Sophia and that Desire Under the Elms. Who did you team up with her for the story?
Tony Perkins and Burl Ives. And the idea for using a foreign girl for a New England girl was Eugene O'Neill's, not mine. He wrote a screen treatment some time ago.
That's very interesting. And the treatment had the heroine with an accent?
I wanted to get that in fast so no one thinks we used her just for sex, you know, to get her to wiggle through the picture.
Of course, Don.
She really acts.
She won't do any harm on the other aspect, though.
No, I'm not going to knock it either.
Well, you know, this young lady sitting next to you, Nancy Walker, while I've talked about her as a comedian, she proved in the Noel Coward show, Fallen Angels, she can do just about anything in the line of acting that might
Wasn't
be
that
doing.
fun? I love that show.
Did Noel Coward see the show, Nancy?
Second night we were open, yes.
And what did he say, or should I ask?
I can't say it all. It was just marvelous.
Nice things.
Yes, wonderful things.
Don, you were head of one of the biggest studios in Hollywood, and you gave it up to head your own independent production company. Was that because you had more freedom, or was the other just too much work?
No, it was to have more freedom. And the fact that all of Hollywood was breaking up into independent companies,
Yes.
I thought I might as well have one of my own.
What else have you got lined up for your own studio now?
I've just finished The Matchmaker, too, with Shirley Booth.
Well, you know, while I talk further with Don Hartman and Nancy Walker, I think we might invite you over to Cy Coleman's end of the room, because he's up to some nonsense over there. I don't know. Monique is laughing at something he's playing, some toy he's playing with, so we'll find out what's cooking with Cy Coleman. Don?
Thank you very much.
It's a small one.
I'm afraid he's the life of the party, whether I like it or not. He steals all... It's a good thing Sophia Loren's downstairs, not up here.
Where?
Yeah, that's what Don Harpin said. Nancy, you're going to do the Red Skelton show, aren't you?
Yes, next Tuesday. Mm-hmm.
And what about Broadway after that?
Well, I'm coming right back to do Wonderful Town at City Center.
That should be fun.
That night?
You play the Rosalind Russell part?
Yep.
Oh, that should be a ball.
Very pleased by it.
What about new discoveries, Don? You developed a lot of people when you were at Paramount. You got anybody new in
Well, we
sight?
brought Tony Perkins to the studio and put him in, I think, his first 2 acting parts.
Did you discover Tony?
Willie Wyler discovered Tony. I stole him.
You stole him. Boy. I want to steal over here just for a second and take a look at some paintings that I saw over at the little studio. Jan de Roos did them, and if I can pull them away from the very pretty Monique Van Goren. Good evening. Nancy Walker, Don Hartman, Jan de Roos. This gentleman wouldn't say it of himself, but he was a hero of the Czechoslovakian underground. He's a very wonderful man who's proved his humanity as well as his ability to paint. And I thought maybe we'd ask him a few things about these pictures we have up here. Jan, this picture over here on the right, would you tell us just who the girl is and when
Well, these paintings are actually not paintings from the show. In the show, I'll have a group of, well, is it mentionable nudes?
Nudes? Well, means mention nudes.
This girl is a model whose name I'm afraid I forgot.
Where was this done?
That was done about a year ago. Right?
In New York?
Yes, in New York.
And this seems
The
to be...
next thing is nothing else except Jones Beach without people.
That's wonderful. Nothing very Czechoslovakian about that. Who is
And
this
the
very
one
poignant
behind
girl?
me is a young girl from St. Louis. It's a portrait commission, which I did some time ago.
Speaking of the portrait commissions, haven't you been commissioned to do some very famous folk?
Yes, you know, that comes one after another, but more less famous people than famous.
Well, who are some of the famous people that
I've done?
chosen
Well, I
you?
was very honored to be able to do a pencil sketch of Helen Keller at one time. I did Vivian Leigh in oil and well, 2 or 3 others which sort of slowly escaped my mind.
Well, Jan, we'll be looking forward to your showing at the little studio.
I hope you'll be able to come.
Nudes. That's February the 20th.
20th
Yes.
and March the 5th.
That sounds like very, very good fun indeed. And it's very nice of you to come to our little party tonight.
Thank you for having me.
Monique is waving to you over there, so if you want to go back and join her.
Best reason I can think of.
Jan de Roos, who did the paintings on the wall tonight. And now my apartment will be sponsored for 60 seconds by a very wonderful landlord named Comet. So if you will bear with me, we'll join the party in just 60 seconds from now.
Fine, Comet? Am I? Comet's terrific. Better than any cleanser I ever used. I made that Comet sink test, and I was amazed. You should have seen the mess in my sink. I'd left tea bags overnight. So I cleaned part with my old cleanser and part with Green Comet. Comet's got chlorinol. It's some kind of chlorine bleaching agent, and it really works. Comet won, hands down. I could hardly believe the difference. So I finished the job with Comet. It got my sink whiter and cleaner than any cleanser I ever used. It was disinfected, too, because Comet kills household germs. I'm sold on Comet. Well, I guess I'll try Comet. Oh!
Just ask the clerks for more, lady. Only Comet contains chlorinol. It bleaches out stains, wipes out germs as no other leading cleanser can.
I was just talking with Cy here about a very remarkable young man we have here at the party tonight. He's rather shy. I don't know why he should be, because this year he won the Theater Wing Award. He was selected by Rodgers and Hammerstein and Helen Hayes and a whole bunch of wonderful theater folk as the most promising young singer they could find this year. Sandy Anselmo, come over here. Cy Coleman, Sandy.
Hi, Sandy.
Nice and nice to have you at the party.
Nice to be here.
I know you've been working with Jackie Gleason and you've kept yourself busy down at the Phoenix. It was in the Golden Apple, wasn't it?
Yes, that's right.
And
The first thing I did.
I've heard so much about you, Sandy. I haven't heard you sing. I'll be quite frank about that. But I like to think I'm an amateur discoverer of singers. I'm a little late, after Rodgers and Hammerstein with you, but I'd like to discover you here right now at my house if you'd do a song for us with Cy.
I sure will.
What have you got in mind?
The song from New Girl in Town. Look at her.
Look at her, look at her. Excuse me, while I look at her and melt, just like I'm butter in the sun. Look at her, she can't see how much she's affecting me. I think she's sweet as taffy. She thinks I'm downright daffy. Look at me from the start. I've been choking on my heart, tasting words I'm too afraid to say. I'm scared to make a move. She wouldn't understand. I'm scared to smooth her hair or even hold her hand. I know I mustn't touch, but I don't mind so much if I can look at her, look at her, look at her. Oh, look at me from the start. Oh, I've been choking on my heart, tasting words I'm too afraid to say. I'm scared to make a move. She wouldn't understand. I'm scared to smooth her hair or even hold her hand. I know I mustn't touch, but I don't mind so much if I can look at her, look at her, look at her. You know, I think we might look at the girl that he was singing to. He picked out a very pretty girl here at the party, and he sort of sang the whole number to her. I think it might be a cute idea if we saw the inspiration, because I can see why he looked at her. Isn't she pretty? I'm standing here at this moment with a gentleman who is part of the very fabulous era that began back in Chicago and wound up, well, perhaps across the world through motion pictures and plays and books like Child of the Century, front page on the stage, and of course his two very wonderful films, which are still more or less samples of how to make a movie, Crime Without Passion and The Scoundrel. Mr. Ben Hecht, of course, is a very modest gentleman. He can afford to be at this stage of the game. But I do want to talk to him about something that's close to his heart right now, because he's about, well, I don't know how old he is, but when it comes to his work, he's about 23. And he's as enthusiastic about Winkleberg as anybody can be these days. Welcome to our little salon, our little abattoir. Very nice to have you with us, sir.
Winkleberg, you should mention, is not a gentleman, but a play.
He's not a gentleman at all. As a matter of fact, Winkleberg is inspired by a man who I wanted to have on this series in the first show. When I was preparing this program for television, we filmed in the Village. Everybody I thought was Village. And the one man who escaped me because he was in Chicago at the time was Maxwell Bodenheim. I knew Max from the San Remo in the Village, and I thought he had such a tremendously moving life. When I heard you had taken up the typewriter to draw a portrait of Mr. Maxwell Bodenheim Winkleberg, I was very, very excited.
Well, I was impressed by Bodenheim since he was about 18. He fell into misfortune very early, and he remained there, embedded for about 50 years. He has the distinction of being the only poet in recorded history to have been murdered. It was part of his misfortune.
Interesting. I didn't realize that.
And he represented the type of writer that was almost extinct when he was born, a writer who did nothing but write and drink. And we were friends in Chicago and sort of enemies afterwards, but always friends in between our feuds. And the play I did about Bodenheim has been criticized because Bodenheim wasn't supposed to be a big enough poet to write a play about. He's one of the best poets we ever had, despite the fact he was murdered, despite the fact that he was a bit of a drunkard. And his death stirred no sorrow that I could detect in anybody, and this kept me worrying about 3-4 years.
Until you wrote the play.
And I don't know if I've stirred any sorrow now, except in myself off and on.
Well, the play is the most challenging play for villagers or anyone who knows or loves the spirit of a poet. It's at the Renata Theater, I believe, isn't it?
Yes, it's on a wonderfully named street, Bleecker Street.
Yes, I know. Very close to where he spent a good deal of his life.
The gutter outside of our theater was very slept often.
Well, Ben Hecht, I have a half hour or 2 hours to talk to you, and I'm going to have to get back to you. But
thank you for this.
thank you for coming over here and talking for a second. Fabulous, Mr. Ben Hecht. Ben Hecht, I think I know what I should do after talking to you. How about introducing you to a pretty girl? Isn't that what's supposed to happen at a party?
Very nice.
The very famous Metropolitan Opera singer and the very lovely beauty, Mimi Benzel, Ben Hecht.
Well, how do you do, Mr. Hecht?
So pleased to have you here, except that, of course, when we see you, we want to hear you sing, and I hope some week you'll come over with some music and let Cy play along here.
Oh, I'd love to. I was fascinated by your little piano, Cy.
Oh, thank you very much.
I wondered if perhaps I could take it home, because that's just about the range I have these days with this cold.
You got a cold?
Have I got a cold?
Ben, take her over to the bar and get her some medicine, will you?
Medicine? Well, I don't know. What do you
Mimi
have?
Benzel, who's been so sensational at the Cotillion Room when she's turned very democratically to any kind of music she thinks might please you. Now, I'd like to turn very democratically to one thing I know pleases all the boys, a very beautiful girl, and Cy Coleman. And I wouldn't be surprised if something happened here. Shall we find out right now? Would you, there's one thing you do on the album, The Man I Love, My Man. It's so wonderful. I play it on the Make Believe Ballroom. Would you do that tonight, please?
Yes, certainly. Thank you.
Sur cette terre, mon seul bien, mon seul bonheur, c'est mon homme. J'ai donné tout ce que j'ai, mon amour et tout mon cœur, à mon homme. Et même la nuit, quand je rêve, c'est de lui, là-bas, de mon homme. Et ce n'est pas qu'il soit beau, qu'il soit riche ni costaud, mais je l'aime, cet idiot, il me fout des coups, il me prend mes sous, je suis à bout, mais malgré tout, que voulez-vous? Oh, my man, I love him so. He'll never know all my life is just despair. But I don't care quand ses yeux sur moi se posent. J'en viens toute chose. Je l'ai tellement dans la peau qu'au moindrement il me ferait faire n'importe quoi. Je tuerais ma foi, je sens qu'il me rendrait infâme. Je ne suis qu'une femme et je l'ai tellement dans la peau.
What a girl, isn't she?
Oh, she sure is. How beautiful.
You got something cooked up for us there?
I'm fooling around with the Matt Dennis tune called Will You Still Be Mine?
It's a lot of fun. And Sandy, I want you to warm up one there in the bullpen in case we get a chance. I'd like to get around to you. Ty Coleman, man about town. So glad you could come. See you next week at the same time. Bring your friends. Don't ring the bell next door because the fella gets angry. Till then, thank you and good night.
Art Ford's Greenwich Village Party has been a Channel 5 presentation. Tuned as you brings you a good story on Lively Channel 5.